And so my stance on snark subreddits is that while I understand why they're created, they so often wind up crossing the line into just pure hater energy.
Hey mi gente, it's Julian Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey. Today we're going to be talking about a topic I wanted to talk about a month ago, but due to the circumstances of trying to make the previous videos that I've done, I had to have this topic for a month. Now we're here. Today we're going to be talking about D'Angelo versus the Travis and Taylor Reddit subreddit thing. I'm gonna explain a bit more in details. Okay, mi gente. Okay. We're going to start now. Who are D'Angelo and are Travis and Taylor? If you didn't know, D'Angelo is a 26-year-old YouTuber. He is mostly known for doing commentary videos. He also does drawing and reaction videos, and he even does pop culture videos, which is the specific channel that we're going to be discussing today. Is his D'Angelo channel, where he talks specifically about pop culture. The R Travis and Taylor subreddit is a subreddit where they talk about anything related to Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship, whether it's positive or negative feedback. And they also talk about Taylor Swift, mostly about Taylor Swift because of them having issues with Taylor Swift and being previous fans of Taylor Swift. In my notes, I did refer to them as anti-Taylor Swift enthusiasts, which is the best way to describe them, but there's a couple of nuances when we get there. So there has been back and forth between the two entities, and it all started when D'Angelo made his video about the subreddit, which is the first video that came out.
And so my stance on snark subreddits is that while I understand why they're created, they so often wind up crossing the line into just pure hater energy. I don't believe that everyone who has ever made or read a post on a snark subreddit did so because they are a bad person or trying to hate the person they're talking about. In fact, I understand the desire to share your opinion in a space where you're not going to get jumped on by stans of the person you're talking about. That's normal. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Because of his delivery and the way he was defending Taylor Swift, anti-Travis and Taylor people that are a part of the subreddit caught this. They were offended, and they started to discuss amongst themselves about how D'Angelo misinterpreted their subreddit. It wasn't fair. He was only criticizing the most recent stuff instead of looking into certain stuff that has been discussed previously with Taylor Swift when it comes to controversies and why they ended up not being fans of hers anymore.
She looks sloppy and dead inside. I'm still grieving the Taylor of 5 years past. Wait a second. This is starting to make more sense. A lot of y'all have actually been following her for 5 years, huh? Like, you know all the lore behind her early voice and her early interviews, because you were fans probably for longer than you weren't. This is literally like these people have broken up with Taylor Swift, but they're not over her. You know what I mean? That's kind of what this subreddit is giving. I've been saying that for over a year. It's clear to me that she's deeply unhappy and lost. As an ex-Swiftie, as much as I despise her now, I feel very sad for her. Bro, y'all are obsessed.
They also mentioned that he didn't do that much research. He did the bare minimum, etc., etc., etc. Once D'Angelo went back and realized that they reacted to his video, that is when D'Angelo ended up going back and was like, you know what? I'm gonna say more shit. So then he made the second video.
That's the first thing I noticed. I knew I would like this sub because of how reasonable it is. I've seen some insane and outrageously cruel takes. Refresh the page and it's gone. I just don't think the fact that your subreddit could possibly be even more unhinged if you let it is a good argument to indicate that the subreddit is actually reasonable. But really what this boils down to is a difference of opinion though. I think it's unreasonable to post blurry photos of Taylor Swift drinking at a game and make a whole post about how there's always a drink in her hand, which you then use as discourse about how you think she and her boyfriend can't stand each other when they're not drinking. And I guess the people here don't think that's unreasonable. And that's okay. Anyway, that's the unreasonable angle. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. And I do think the world will continue spinning.
In the second video, he wasn't as nuanced as he was previously. And that's because of him being mad. I get that, but I do believe that there's a better way of trying to articulate your words without coming off as righteous. And in his critique video, the second one, he didn't double down, which I get it, but at the same time, I feel like he could have been more nuanced, because I do believe certain parts of the subreddit were kind of nuanced when it came to like how they felt about D'Angelo. However, I'm not even gonna lie, I do believe most of them weren't coming in good faith. They were very righteous too. So it's like basically both parties weren't on their best behavior. That's the best way to put it. And then, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, then once he made the second video, they ended up responding back to the video on the subreddit. And then everything that D'Angelo kind of jinxed ended up happening because he jinxed that there was going to be two things. Either A, they were going to misconstrue what he said and just leave it on the subreddit or something like that.
Anyway, I already know the subreddit's going to do one of two things. They're either going to ban any future posts or interactions about me, because I mean, the subreddit is not about me, it's about Taylor Swift. And
then the second option was that they were going to make another thread calling him out about the new video, which he was correct, because they ended up doing that in the new subreddit by criticizing him and just keep talking about how they're not going to watch his videos no more, and that he is defending a billionaire, because if you didn't know, Taylor Swift now is a billionaire. She doesn't support Palestine, and that, but you here come critiquing Chaperone for supporting Palestine and not trying to endorse any politician, because at that time she didn't want to endorse any of the presidential nominees. Basically stuff like that. And then, of course, there were more things that people mentioned, but I'm just giving a summary, and I probably put screenshots so you all can see what I'm talking about. But these are examples of what people were talking about in the subreddits. In this section, I'm going to say my honest thoughts quickly, because I do want to talk about a few other things that I've mentioned briefly within the video. The first thing is that D'Angelo did say that there is nothing wrong with criticizing Taylor Swift. He made it clear that everybody has a right to criticize her if it's constructive. Trust me, and I'm saying this as a person who likes Taylor Swift's music and some stuff she does, keyword some, because I do not agree with everything she does, and that goes for any celebrity. Even if I'm a really big fan of theirs, I'm not going to agree with everything that they've done, which is okay. I mean, as long as it's not extremely problematic and or concerning to the point that you have to be like, okay, I think I cannot defend you no more. he's speaking as a person who's not really a fan of hers, and he made it clear that he wasn't. And he made it clear that you can still criticize her. The thing is, you have to do it in a way where it doesn't come off as misogynistic. It doesn't come off as like you genuinely hate her and have an obsession with her. That was like the premise of what he was talking about.
And so what I would really like to highlight is, out of the thousands of people who have commented on it, everybody sort of seemed to get the point. Personally, I strongly dislike Ariana Grande. Would I ever go to a hate subreddit and talk about how much I hate her all day? No, because that's weird. Snark pages are just the flip side of parasocial relationships. That level of obsession can either make you fawn over someone or know so much it fuels your hatred of them. Like, this was a very uncomplicated video, honestly. I actually think this person may have said it the best. I'm always baffled how no one can criticize Taylor Swift correctly. Like, the woman is probably the easiest low-hanging fruit to critique and criticize, yet every time her name leaves someone's mouth, there's always some weird tacked-on misogyny at the end about how she dates too much or isn't pretty or can't actually sing, etc.
Second thing I want to talk about is some people are just not going to agree with you. This goes for D'Angelo and the Travis and Taylor subreddit. Both parties do not see eye to eye. Both. So them going back and forth was entertaining, but also a waste of time because there was no valid resolutions between the two parties, because it's clear that D'Angelo thinks his way. It's clear that the Travis and Taylor Swift subreddit think their way. On one party, it benefited them more. Actually, no, I feel like in a way, both parties benefited with, I guess, to some extent, with each other, because D'Angelo got a lot of views and he got even more subscribers. The subreddit got more people to join their subreddit. But in the Travis and Taylor subreddit, they received a bunch of harassment from either Taylor Swift fans or bad faith people because of D'Angelo's videos. The mods in this subreddit had to continuously block people, delete comments and stuff related to that, because people, aka D'Angelo's fans and or maybe even haters, trying to be messy and harass this group of people. And this is where I'm going to have to side with the Travis and Taylor subreddit. I feel like there was a better way for D'Angelo to say, hey, do not harass the subreddit. This is just my way of entertainment, which he kind of did that in the second video, but here's the catch. He made it clear that this is what he wants to do. He doesn't need to do what you guys want him to do as a content creator, and that it's his given right to do whatever he wants with his content, which is totally fair. But at the same time, you just allowed a lot of people that follow you to go and harass a group of people on the internet.
On the one hand, it is very strongly alleging that I have misrepresented the subreddit by cherry picking. But then it's also saying I didn't really put any effort into this video at all. I don't think both of these things can be true. And like many things, like Taylor Swift discourse itself, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Forgive me for thinking I shouldn't have to write a video essay to say that your subreddit is weird. I don't think I should have to sit down, do a full day of research, really stack posts against each other and like feed them into an algorithm and analyze them for weirdness. Guys, y'all are weird. This is my opinion, which I voiced in my space, not on your subreddit, by the way. I would like to point that out.
And I'm not saying that D'Angelo has some type of control to control his audience from doing that, but as a public figure, it's your job to let it be known, hey, I do not condone harassment. I do not condone any forms of bigotry, because if you do not confirm it in your own videos, it's giving basically an idea that you're not you're not on top of what's going on, like when it comes to social media. D'Angelo's a big creator, and for him to not set those boundaries with his audience, it shows that he doesn't understand the amount of power he has to some extent when it comes to having control of his audience. So in this area, I do believe he could have protected the subreddit. Yeah, who wants to, I guess, protect a group of people on the internet who are bashing a celebrity couple or PR celebrity couple? They believe it's a PR relationship. Who cares? I do not care. But my point is, that's what they said, and that's how they feel. And in my opinion, that is not bad, as long as they're not doing it in a very toxic way, which is, once again, what D'Angelo was talking about. He was talking about how the subreddit can tend to be very toxic. D'Angelo feels like the subreddit is also toxic because of stuff that they do talk about, which I can agree. I did see a couple of things that popped up, but at the same time, that's their space to criticize Taylor, Travis, or mostly Taylor, because they used to be Taylor Swift fans. So yeah.
I think snark subreddits really need to be evaluated. People need to think about the space they're taking up on the internet. You are never, ever, ever getting back together. You're never gonna convince me like this is a normal way of criticizing somebody.
And then the final thing I want to talk about is D'Angelo saying that he wants to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. Now, when it comes to this, I believe as content creators, we all have a given right to talk about whatever we want to talk about. However, I do believe we can hear some constructive criticism, because sometimes when you hear that constructive criticism, it can help you better your content. In this case, a couple of people were saying, I believe you should do a bit of more research when it comes to your videos in his pop culture channel. Now, do I agree? To some extent, yes. To some extent, no. And the reason why is because, like he said, it's not supposed to be taken too seriously. And when he does this content, it's because he's doing it in a place of entertainment. He's doing it so when he could get a break from doing the content he usually does, which is commentary, but it's very dark most of the time. And I'm saying this as a person who doesn't watch D'Angelo's main channels, but for what I've seen, he talks about very big content creators.
Okay. Oh God, he made a video on us. Go back to calling out actual problematic people like Cody Code, Jake Paul, etc., and not people who actually criticize Taylor for valid reasons. This seems like a good time to establish a bit of a boundary. My channel has my name on it, and I can talk about whatever I want. I don't actually exist solely to validate your negative opinions about everybody, while never having the space to voice any opinions of my own. My content is and has always been just me sharing my opinion. I see this a lot, this energy of like, why are you talking about this? Because I can? Well, what do you mean? People upload videos about Minecraft and Roblox.
He talks about things that are not positive for the most part. And imagine you continuously talking about this content. It does get draining. And I'm also saying this as a person who is a content creator too, and talks about very touchy topics. It does get draining at times. Even though I do have fun doing it, it does get draining. And the same thing goes for D'Angelo. I believe he's having fun, but it gets draining, which is a normal thing. We human, like what he talked about. He's a human who deserves to have a break sometimes for talking about very dark topics. The quick videos, it can be done in a bit of a more better way. I'm not saying it's bad because I do like the channel, but I do believe some criticism is valid because in this subreddit, they talk about more things than just gossiping about Taylor's relationship with Travis Kelce, but also they talk about, for example, Taylor making too many variants of her most recent album, The Tortured Poets Department. That is the title of the album. They were talking about how Taylor has too many variants of this album. That is a fair critique because why so many variants of the same album? Sure, there may be certain tweaks within the album, but it's still the same album. Or in this case, when it comes to Taylor's private jet usage, he uses a lot of the private jet. And because of that, that is polluting the environment. Finally, I want to talk about people trying to tell creators what to do. Some people believe that they do it in good faith, which I do believe some people are, or maybe a small fraction, but then the ones that are mostly criticizing this, no, they're not doing it in good faith. And in this case, I believe that D'Angelo has every right to point that out and let it be known. Hey, I have a right to do whatever content I want to do without feeling pressured to do stuff that everyone else wants me to do. And do the bare minimum research and just say how I feel or just go based on certain things. And I do believe in this video specifically, he did do some form of research. He just didn't dig deep as he did in his previous channels. I do not think that's bad, and I do believe there should be a space for him to do that. And I feel like the subreddit, they were just using that against him because they like this one particular work he's done, which is not a bad thing, but it comes off as disingenuous when people are giving you these criticisms, in this case, the subreddit. So that's why I do understand where he's coming from. I believe D'Angelo does have a right to do what he wants. I just think that trying to argue back with people that do not care about your opinion is not worth it, in my opinion. Because, like I said, it's obvious both parties are not going to go, they're not going to align with one another. So that's why I'm saying that. So I think that's pretty much it about what I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you so much if you made it this far. I appreciate you. Make sure to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe, especially if you're new. I would like to know, especially in the comments, what do you think about D'Angelo versus Travis and Taylor subreddit? Do you think there can be a common ground? As you can tell, I do not see that happening, but I want to know, do you think there could be a common ground? Do you think that content creators need to put efforts all of the time in their videos? Or do you think of anything else? Just let me know in the comments. Okay, mi gente. Okay, mi gente. Okay. Thank you and peace, mi gente.